and dive in. We're continuing with factoring. Remember, no matter how many terms you have, you want to look for a GCF first. So greatest common factor, look for this first. And that's true even in today's lesson. Then if you have two terms, this is what might show up on, well, it will show up on tomorrow's quiz. Then you're going to look for, do you have a squared minus b squared? And let's just practice writing it because we need it for the quiz tomorrow. That's going to factor down into a minus b, a plus b. Or do you have a cubed minus b cubed? That's the long one no one really likes, but hopefully you'll at least be able to remember a and b, a minus b. Most people remember that one. And then the way that I remember it is you square a, you square b, you smush them together in the middle. And do you guys remember how those signs work? Remember the acronym that we learned? What was it? SOAP, same as what you started with. So minus, minus, opposite of what you started with, which in this case is positive, and then always positive. And then you would be looking for a cubed plus b cubed as well, which the a and b is the same. The a squared and the b squared is the same. The a and the b you smush in the middle, and then you soap to clean it up. It's the same as what you started with, so what's the starting sign going to be? Plus, then the opposite, so what's this one going to be? Subtraction, this one is always positive. So those are the three you need to know for tomorrow. I'll review them right at the beginning, but if you know I am struggling with remembering these, I'd take some time to try to memorize them tonight. Then our next few sections we're going to be looking at is what do you do if you have three terms? How do you factor? And the strategy that we use, and this is in all math classes at Wheaton Academy, is we call it using trial and error, but it's really strategic trial and error. There's a lot of strategies to it. So I just add the word strategic. Strategic. Did I spell that right? English people, is that right? Strategic?
Yeah.
Hey, Google, how do you spell strategic? Doesn't seem right. I don't know why.
Strategic is spelled S-T-R-A-T-E-G-I-C.
Oh, I spelled it strategic. Okay, it's a Monday. It's okay. All right, so strategic trial and error. I knew it looked wrong, but I just couldn't wrap my brain around it. Okay, basically there's strategy to it. How do you know to use this strategy when you have expressions in this form? Where you have something squared, then something with x, and then a number. Let's take a look at where this came from. Let's say that you were asked to multiply this on your practice quiz or even on tomorrow's quiz. Let's say we have something like x plus 2 times x minus 5. What process do we go about in multiplying that? So, yep, we FOIL, right? So we got a x times x. What's x times x? X squared. Then we do the outside. What's x times negative 5? Good. What's the inside? 2x. And then what's the last? Negative 10, right? And then what do we do?
Plus 2x.
Nice. So we have x squared minus 3x minus 10. And that's it. It's a trinomial. Now, when you're asked to factor, so notice this said multiply, and you did, and you brought it to that answer. And that would be your answer. Today, you're going to be asked to go backwards. So now you're going to be asked to factor this. And the key to being successful is really knowing how to FOIL, because we're going to unfoil it. So if you think about the FOIL process, this piece came from the first term times the first term. So if I'm going backwards, x times x gave us x squared. And you're going to need to know how to undo the last term. We're going to have to see what times what would give me negative 10. Negative 5 and 2, and then you're done. But the only piece you need to always check is, does the outside and the inside add up to the middle term? So there's a very, very, very important check step here. And that's why there's error to this process. Sometimes you'll make a mistake and you don't know if you've made it until the check step. Okay, there's a lot of really strategic pieces about this, but that's what we're doing. We're factoring it, and then that would be our answer. So we're like undoing what's been multiplied. Here's the steps to take. Always look for a GCF first. That's important. But now let's take a look at example 1. We have x squared minus x minus 6. Is there a GCF in all 3 of those? If there was an x here, then there would be, right? But there's nothing common in all 3. This is x times x. This is x. This I could say is 3 times 2. Is there anything common in all of those? No. So there's no GCF. So when there's no GCF and I see 3 terms, I know that's something that's been FOILed. So I'm going to unfoil it. I'm going to use 2 parentheses. Well, don't do it yet. Here's the steps that will always make you successful. Number 1, and there's a flow chart up here. It says, determine the sign of the last term. So this is our last term. The last term is negative 6. That's the last term. Is it negative or is it positive? It's negative. So that's going to tell me where to go in the flow chart. Since it's negative, I'm going to go this way. If it's negative, that means you're going to have different signs, 1 plus, 1 minus. So 1 plus, 1 minus. Go ahead and put them anywhere. There's some error to this strategy, but we know it's going to be plus and minus. The next thing we do is we undo the F in FOIL. So go to the F and let's talk about undoing x squared. What times what would give us x squared? X times x, right? So you're going to put that here and you're going to put that here. Then you undo the L. Don't worry about the sign. We already put a plus and minus in. So we're just going to undo 6. 2 and 3. And now here's the kicker. What if 2 and 3 didn't work? What would be other factors of 6? 6 and 1. There's no other factors. Here's tip number 1 that makes this strategy often helpful. Tip number 1 is choose the factors that are closer together first. So I'm going to call this tip number 1, and the faster you can memorize these tips, the easier factoring is. Tip number 1, choose factors closest together. It almost, I'd say like 85% of the time they work. So let's we'll put them anywhere. Let's say I put a positive 3 and a negative 2 in. How do you know if it worked? So you're going to check. Well, we already undid the F, right? We already undid the L. What's the last piece in FOIL? You got to make sure it equals the negative x. So do the outside. What is negative 2x? Or what's x times negative 2? Negative 2x. What's 3 times x? 3x. What do those add up to be? Positive 1x. Now here the sign matters. Is that what the middle guy is?
No.
So and here's tip number 2. If it's the opposite of what you want, just change the signs. So I'm going to write that tip and then we'll do it, right? Tip number 2. If the OI is the opposite number, then switch the plus and the minus. Every time this will work, no matter how advanced this factoring becomes. So I'm going to switch the plus. Where am I going to put the plus? Next to the 2. And I'm going to make the minus next to the 3. Now we could check it. What's x times 2? positive 2x. And what's negative 3 times x? Negative 3x. And that'll add up to be negative 1x, which is what we want. Okay, this is going to be the more we do it, the easier it will be. So let's try number 2. Number 2, what is always the first step? GCF. Look at the numbers 2, 18, and 40. Is there a GCF in all of those? 2. If I divide out a 2, take 2 away from the first term, we'll have x squared. Divide 2 from the next term. What's 18x divided by 2? 9x. And divide 40 by 2. What's 40 divided by 2? 20. Awesome. Now I have 3 terms. I know they came from something that's been FOILed. So write down your 2 parentheses. And just leave that little GCF on the outside. It doesn't affect anything else. Let's start with the flow chart. Look at the last term. Which one's the last term? X squared, 9x, or 20? Which one's the last one? X squared, 9x, or 20? 20. So I need to determine, is it positive or is it negative? It's positive. So now go back up to the flow chart. You guys are seeing it quicker than I am. Okay, if it's positive, we're going to go this way. If it's positive, then you're going to have the same signs. So it's either going to be plus and plus or minus and minus. The way that we know is by looking at the sign of the second term. So number 2, the second term is positive. So last term positive, therefore, it's going to be the same sign as the positive 9x. So we're going to do plus and plus. Now what do we do? X and X. Awesome. Undo the F. You guys got it. If we undo the x squared, that's x and x. You're right in this case. Then we'll undo 20. Chase? F, the F in FOIL. So what times what gave us that first term? Great question. What times what gave us that first term? And now I'm undoing the L in FOIL. What times what gave me 20? So what are factors of 20? 5 and 4. If those didn't work, what others could work? 10 and 2. And if those didn't work, 20 and 1, right? Which should we try first? 5 and 4. Why try 5 and 4 first? They're closest together. So let's try 5. Let's try 4. How do we know if we got it correct? Yep, measure with the middle one. So what's x times 4? 4x. What's 5 times x? 5x, and that comes out to be 9x. So we got it. And that's our final answer. All right, let's try another one. Actually, before we try this one, I want to give you guys another one off to the side. You guys have space on your notes for one off to the side. Try this one on your own, especially since you have the flow chart in front of you. Try to factor this piece, x squared minus 5x plus 6. Use the flow chart. See if you can unfoil it. If you need help, I've done the first step for you. Okay, these are kind of like puzzles. Did anyone figure out what works? Yes. Chase, you get it? 3 and 2. 3 and 2. It should be x minus 3 times x minus 2, or you could have had it the other way. You could say x minus 2 times x minus 3.
How did you know that? It was-
Good question. So since the last term, this is the last term, is positive, in the flow chart, I'm going to go to the positive, and it says you're going to have the same signs as the second term. So since the second term is negative, it's going to be the same signs as the negative. Great question. Awesome. All right, let's try another one. Number 3. I'll just tell you guys there is no GCF because 23 is a prime number. So let's jump to the parentheses. Start with the last term. Which one's the last term? Negative 18, good. The last term is it negative or positive? Negative. Therefore, are we going to have different signs or the same signs? Different signs. So one's going to be plus, one's going to be minus. It doesn't matter where you put them to start with. Chase. It's always plus minus. Yep. Then it's always the same as whatever this one is. Good question. Okay, what are we going to undo? Yep, undo 6x squared. This one's a little trickier than the other ones we've been doing. 3x and 2x, that's a good choice. If that didn't work, are there any other ones? 6x and 1x. Yeah, those are our choices. Which should we try first? Yep, try those first. Why? They're closer. Good, let's do a 3x and a 2x. Now we're going to undo 18. You could look at 9 and 2. Are there any closer together? 6 and 3. Or you could try 18 and 1, right? Here's another tip. This is the final tip I have to give you. Look at the 6 and the 3. We would try that first, right? Was there a GCF to start with? No, so there should be no GCF to end with. Look at 3x. This is tip 3. You cannot put in a number that creates a GCF. Write that down. Think about it. Tip 3, you cannot put in a number that creates a GCF. So can I put 6 in with the 3x? No. Can I put 3 in with the 3x? No, so that doesn't work. So it's 9 and 2. Which one should I not put in with 3x? You can't do 9, so what should I put in with the 3x? 2. And what should I put here? 9. Now, how do I know if it worked? Do the
times 9 is negative 18, and then
so you're gonna do the outside and the inside. Yeah, we're gonna check it in a minute, but I want to make sure everybody got that. Why did we put a 2 in here? Because 6, 3, and 9 share a factor of 3. We can't do that. So if I do the outside, 3x times negative 9 is negative 27x. 2 times 2x is 4x. Those add up to be negative 23x. Is that what I want? Yeah, it's the middle. So we have it right. 3x plus 2 times 2x minus 9. Let's try another one. Number 4. Do you guys want to try this one on your own? See if you can get it? No? You want to try it? Okay, well, let's do it together. Is there a GCF? No, so let's do the 2 parentheses. See if you can determine the signs on your own. That's an important step. If you need to go to the front, that's totally fine. Don't lose these notes because they'll help you with the homework after the quiz. Okay, did you say plus minus? Yeah? Everyone get plus minus? Yeah? Jace, you get that one? Plus minus? Awesome. Okay, if we undo 3x squared, yep, that's the only possibility here. So I'm going to put a 3x and an x. Then which one do we undo? Yep, undo the last term. So we're going to undo 8. That could be 4 and 2. And if that didn't work, what would be my last choices? 8 and 1. Now, 4 and 2 both don't share a GCF with 3x. So I don't know which one it is. Let's just try a 4 here and a 2 here. It's trial and error. That's what we call this strategy. How do we know if we did it right? Check the outside and the inside. So what is the outside? What is 3x times negative 2? 3 times negative 2, negative 6x. What's the inside? 4x. That'll come out to be negative 2x. Is that close to 10x? No, nowhere close. If it's nowhere close, what do you think you should do? Switch the numbers. So make this 2 and this one 4. Now try it. What is 3x times negative 4? Negative 12x. What is 2 times x? 2x. That adds up to be negative 10x, way closer, but it's the opposite. Do you guys remember what we do if it's the opposite?
3x plus 2.
That's what I have right now.
3x minus
Yeah, switch it. Make this one minus
4.
and this one plus. And now it works. Positive 12x minus 2x, positive 10x. That's it. All right, try number 5 on your own. You guys can do it. I know you can. It's a puzzle. Just undo the puzzle. So you want to change those signs just because that, oh wait, yes, you got it. Did you guys remember tip number 3 as you were working through? Did you put 2 not in with 4? That can help you be faster and better with these puzzles. Don't put anything that would create a GCF. If you got that one, it should be 4x minus 3 times quantity 5x plus 2. Let's finish this last one off together. Is there a GCF? What's the GCF here? 2. So if I take that out, I'll be left with 5x squared plus 7x plus 2. Now there's no GCF. So I'm going to jump to my 2 parentheses. Just keep the GCF on the outside. The last term is positive. So are we going to have the same signs or different signs? Same as, how did you know it was addition? Yeah, because the second one. So it's going to be plus plus. Undo the F. What times what would give me 5x squared? 5x times x. Undo the L. What times what gives you 2? 2 and 1. And put it anywhere. Let's see if we can get lucky. Let's say if we put a 2 here and a 1 here. Now you're not checking the original, you're checking this one. So does 5x plus 2x equal 7x? Yeah, so we got it. And that's it. 2 times quantity, 5x plus 2 times x plus 1. All right, guys, I'm going to have this video on your site. So after the quiz, if you forget, you can rewatch an example. And that homework is due when? Thursday, yes. You guys have a great rest of your day. What's the homework tonight? Study for the quiz.